My guest right now is a two-time Stanley Cup champion, and he is the best hockey player in the world. We welcome back to the program Penguins captain Sidney Crosby. Sid, you're captain of the Penguins, and now you're going to be captain of Canada in the World Cup. Do you ever get tired of being captain? Do you even remember what it's like to not be captain?
I don't know. No, it's an honor, and I don't think it ever gets old or you ever take that for granted. It's a big responsibility, but I think that it's a great honor and got to do best with it.
Well, it's always a big responsibility no matter which team, but being Canada's captain in the World Cup with every game in Toronto, is that number one in your career in terms of expectations, Sid? Because, let's face it, second place just won't do. Sid? Well, I didn't think the first question was so bad that it hang up. Sid, are you there? Okay, we'll try to get Sid back in just a second. In the meantime, 412-333-9939 is the number to call. Let's think about that while we wait to get Sid back. You're captain of Canada. The World Cup's in Canada, specifically in Toronto, the self-styled hockey capital of the world. A city that starved for a championship, at least haven't won since 67, and never mind the Toronto aspect of playing there, the entire Canadian hockey world converges on that city for that tournament, expecting nothing less than a championship. So if there's ever a tough situation to be captain, if there's ever a tournament, a place where expectations will be higher for Sidney Crosby than ever before, it's going to be captain in Canada in this World Cup at Toronto. 412-333-9939. Hopefully we'll get Sid back. A little bit of a phone problem there. If not, it was a short interview, but I think it went very well. Meantime, you get to call 412-333-WXDX. One thing I'm not sure that the average American hockey fan understands is if there was a world football championship, not soccer, but American football, the pressure on the U.S. to win that would be phenomenal. That World Baseball Classic, baseball's America's game, but I don't know how seriously that tournament's taken. Basketball, that's close, I guess. The expectations for the U.S. to win the gold in basketball at the Olympics, that's pretty crazy. But Canada, with hockey, it's the only sport. I mean, I don't know, lacrosse, they play baseball there too, other stuff. But that is the place for hockey, and that's the tournament Canada got to win. Sid joins us again now. Sid, talk about the expectations, captain in Canada in the World Cup in Toronto, because let's be honest, second place just won't do in this tournament.
Yeah, there's high expectations, but I think that the good thing is I think all the guys have played for Canada before. They understand that. It's pressure, but it's exciting to be able to play in Canada, a place that, cares so much about the game and has a lot of passion for it. I think guys look at it as a challenge, but obviously the expectations are high, like you said.
Do you see yourselves as overwhelming favorites? Because that's what everybody's saying.
I don't. I mean, I look around and I see all the teams there. You look around. It's different challenges at every team, but I think the biggest thing that stands out is just the depth. Every team has a ton of depth, and even you look at the under 23 team. That's quite a collection of players there too, and I think every team has a chance. I mean, one game, anything can happen, and it'll be quite the level of hockey, that's for sure.
Talk about that under-23 team for a second, Sid, because Matt Murray was on the show earlier this week. He's one of the goalies for that team. And just thinking about it, if one team has more to prove, perhaps more than any other, it's that under-23 team. It's the young guys against the older guys. That's really a classic matchup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, when you look at the way that their teams put together, I mean, they have so much speed. they're the young guys there, probably some of the guys in the league. So it makes for an interesting matchup. You look at, like you said, you got Matt there with some other young players who've had a lot of success.
Connor McDavid, John Gibson, they got a ton of guys that are good.
Yeah, I mean, McKinnon, yeah, you keep going down the list, Larkin. I mean, all these guys have had a big impact at a young age, so they're going to be a dangerous team too.
You played against Gino in the 2010 Olympics. What was that like then? It was good for you guys. You won 7-3 over Russia. And what will it be like if it happens in the World Cup this year?
Yeah, it's a little different, I think, initially. Right away it's weird, looking at them on the other side. But I think once you get in the game, it becomes another game, and we all know what's on the line and how important it is. So I think we just try to go out there and play. But, in the past, we haven't really been matched up against each other per se. So our line hasn't gone head-to-head, so that probably has made it, a little bit better that way. Just, having played with them for so long, it's a little weird initially. But like I said, we haven't played head-to-head that much. So
would you like that, Sid? Would you like to go head-to-head with Gino? That'd be kind of fun.
fun for the fans. I'm sure it's a little different when you play with a guy for that long. But if that's what it comes to, I think we understand that that's part of it, and we've got to find a way to try to help our team win.
Well, just don't hurt each other. Let that be my advice.
Yeah.
Now, what about looking at the USA bench at the World Cup and seeing Mike Sullivan, your coach, standing next to your buddy John Tortorella? That's going to be an odd visual, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably won't look at the bench usually anyway, but I think that's what you get in international events and tournaments, Olympics, that kind of thing. It's common. You see teammates, you see guys you played with in the past across from you, and that's just something you have to understand as part of it. And everyone's trying to do their best. Everyone's there for the same reason. Let's try to win. So I don't think anybody holds that against one another at all.
Now, we haven't talked since the Penguins won the Stanley Cup. So which cup was better for you, the first or second? And please don't hedge. You got to pick one.
Oh, jeez. Well, I can. It's pretty hard to pick one or the other, but I would say I appreciate this one more than the first one. That's for sure.
Why is that?
Just having gone through, different things and, coming up short in those years where the expectations were high. I mean, they're obviously still high, but even leading up to this year, there was those years where, everyone thought it was going to be, kind of an annual thing that we were in the Stanley Cup Finals. And I think you figure out pretty quickly that it's not that easy, and you need a lot of things to go right. So I think going through that stuff with injury and stuff like that, it's definitely something I appreciate more, having gone through that.
Now, you won the Conn Smythe for playoff MVP, and rightly so. You dominated. But was it a different kind of dominance, more of a two-way thing? The game's changed a lot. I think it changes more in the playoffs, Sid. And it seems like you found a way to dominate within the context of that in the playoffs, especially as the playoffs went into the final stages.
Yeah, I think that you just, everyone's got a role, and I think that, as far as what I needed to do, I needed to go out there and play the best I could at both ends of the ice, and I think that's the expectation for every guy. But whether it was face-offs, things like that, those are all important details, and things that we did well as a group for a while, especially on that whole run. So I think just like anyone else, just tried to do my own job, and I trusted that everyone else was going to do theirs, and I think that's what made us a great team.
You guys blocked 33 shots in Game 6 at San Jose. It was painful for me to watch. You guys were like ducks in a shooting gallery. What was it like out there? I mean, I know you got to do it, but blocking shots, that's no one's idea of fun.
It's desperation. I mean, that's the greatest part of the game is, in those moments, and, it's there's so much on the line, and you see that, different guys, all the way through. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing whatever it takes, whatever's necessary. And, I think at one point in the playoffs, I think Horny blocked one with his head. So, he sets the standard pretty high.
We're talking to Penguins captain Sidney Crosby here on the home of the Penguins, 105.9 The X. Sid, you've now won 2 Stanley Cups, 2 MVPs, 2 gold medals, 2 scoring titles, and 1 Conn Smythe. After all that, at age 29, do you ever think about your place in the game's history? You ever think where you're going to wind up, how people view you when you're done playing?
No, I just, I think the only thing is not, you look at that stuff and that's great. You want to win, and that's why I play the game. So that's kind of what I try to judge myself on. And, you need a lot of things to go right. You need to be on teams that, are in positions like we have in those situations. But I think just the biggest thing for me is that, I showed up every night to work hard and, tried to be, as best of a professional as possible. I mean, all the wins and the individual trophies, that kind of stuff, I mean, that's what motivates me, and that's why I play the game. But as far as how you want to be remembered or, what you want to be kind of recognized, I think that's kind of the ultimate compliment is just, knowing that, you led by example and that you showed up and, worked as hard as you can every night to help your team win.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to wind up top 5 all time. That's not a question, really, more of a statement. And that second cup makes a difference, doesn't it? 2 cups. I don't know why, Sid, but it seems like a lot more than 1, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does. And then, even, when I think back, though, I mean, '08, I still think about it, we went to the finals there. And like I said, I think winning it a second time, you just have an appreciation for how difficult it is and how easy it would have been for maybe just to have those 2 opportunities. There's guys who go their whole career without even playing a Stanley Cup Finals. So, I think when you think about it as a whole, you need so many things to go right. And, everyone can have good years individually, but it takes a special group to be able to go on a run like that. So I think you just appreciate being able to be a part of that, a few times and having won a couple. You know what that feeling's like, and you want to do it again.
I read your story at the Sports Illustrated website. And by the way, Sid, did you actually write it? Because if you did, that's some pretty impressive composition skills.
I didn't physically write it. Those are my words, but it would have took a while for me to type that one out.
Okay, you dictated it. That's good. That's what rich guys do. We have people work for us. Now, you mentioned self-doubt in that story. How bad was the self-doubt for you in the first half of last season? And what enabled you to dig out?
Yeah, I mean, there's always kind of tough parts hit during the season or, injuries, stuff like that. But I think it was just, I felt like, before that, I kind of always had a way of getting out of it. And this one seemed to drag on a little bit longer. So I think, the longer it went on, I think it did create a little bit of doubt. But that being said, I think that, I kind of go back to those different experiences that I had, and I knew and trusted that I always kind of found a way to get out of it. And as a group too, you look and you say, hey, I play on a team here. I'm pretty fortunate. If I'm a golfer or a tennis player, there's no help anywhere. I play on a team, and, we've got some great guys here, and we can turn this around both as a team and individually. And, let's just try to make the best of the second half here and see where it gets us. So, just tried to have fun and keep things simple, and, everything kind of came together.
No one has ever worked harder than you, 24/7. I know because I've witnessed it, but now you're 29. At what point does dialing back on the work maybe help?
Yeah, I think rest becomes a little bit more important in certain cases. I think that you need to find that balance. It's not, it's not as easy as just, ramping it up every summer and trying to get personal bests and stuff off the ice and, do this and do that. But at the same time, it's just using that experience, knowing what you need, but also finding ways to challenge yourself and get better. So that can be in so many different areas. But I think the great thing, about playing and what I love the most is learning and having to adjust, adapt. And, I think as long as I try to continue to do that, then the game will continue to be fun.
Now, one thing you haven't done is win 2 Stanley Cups in a row. And you kind of have a perspective on what it takes because you were in 2 finals in a row back in '08 and '09. As you approach that attempt this coming season, Boy, that's pretty hard to do, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's difficult, and you throw in, a World Cup and kind of an extended schedule. It's it's going to be difficult. So you can't really look at it as a whole, and I don't think you necessarily look at the last game when you started the season either. You just have to understand it's a process. If anything, I think last year should help us. Just going through that, in early on in the season, I think should help us a bit, just to give us some understanding that, hey, there's going to be some adversity, and to trust that when we do hit those points that we've got a group that can pull ourselves out of it, and we don't want to let that linger too much. But every team goes through that, and I think it's just a matter of understanding it and making sure that we kind of look at it in segments. We can't win the last game in October, so we've got to make sure that we're just getting better as the season goes along.
How much did all the young guys on the team this year, the Wilkes guys, how much good did they do you, Sid? Because they brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and that really seemed to pick you up, maybe at a time you needed it.
Yeah, it did. It was good. I mean, anytime you can bring guys up, that just the attitude, the mindset. I think the joy that and just how much they appreciate it. I think their game shows that. And I think it's contagious with everybody. I'm one of those guys. I think that when guys are inserted in the lineup, young guys who wrote something to prove, I think it elevates everyone else. I think we can feed off that energy. I think there's healthy competition within the lineup when guys come up and are doing well, and I think that can help the team too. So, I think all the way around, it can certainly give your team a boost, and to bring the guys that we did, the amount of guys all at once, they all did a great job because they were thrown in some pretty important roles right away.
Now, I love the stuff you did with the Cup. That was all over the news, your time with the Cup in Cole Harbor, the Veterans Hospital, the kids, the parade. It was all awesome. I got to ask about that guy that hung up the sign and jersey where you live. Hey, Sid, sign my jersey. When you went to that house, did you expect a kid? Because it turned out to be a grown man. Did you know it was a grown man?
No, I thought it was a kid. It was a big piece of wood. Like it was painted, or there was just big letters on it. I think it was, "Can you stop? Sign my jersey," or I don't know exactly what it said, but no, I definitely thought it was a kid at the time. And then I didn't get around to doing it. I was walking almost every time I was in a hurry, and I thought, Jesus, I really. But after and.
Okay, Sid, we're losing you a little bit. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can now. Start the story over from when you answered the door, because we lost you for just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just didn't expect. I didn't expect it, to be a grown man. I thought that just by the board and the sign, I thought it was a kid. But when I got there and I was signing the jerseys and kind of hearing the story about it, I think he might have thought I forgot about it or missed it. So I'm glad it worked out. They were really happy, and it just seemed like at that point they didn't really expect it. So it was nice.
And the wife answered the door in a bikini, didn't she?
She didn't come right to the door. She kind of peeked around in the window and said she had to go throw something on. So, yeah, I was just kind of sitting on the front porch hanging out for a minute.
Buddy, it's a good thing you weren't delivering a pizza, because you'd have been in a porn movie. I mean, that's a familiar plot. I'm sure you've never watched one, but, that's kind of what they do. Were you rattled even a little bit for a second?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, now I think Sid's losing. Sid, you there?
Yeah, hear me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just, can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was okay. I was just hanging out on the porch, so it wasn't a big deal.
As always, you've been great. One last question. What's the unhealthiest thing you've eaten this summer? Because you're the healthiest guy I know. I like to hear stories about when you live like the rest of us. What's the unhealthiest thing you've eaten or done or drank this summer?
I eat fairly healthy in the summer, but I wouldn't say I'm the healthiest guy in the world. I like dessert. I like pizza. I eat all that stuff. So I think you probably give me more credit for eating healthy than I actually do, but I had pizza and Chinese food and tons of dessert. Try to scale it back a little bit, but you got to enjoy that stuff too.
Well, that follows a rich tradition. The other superstar from back when, Mario, didn't always eat that well either. So that's falling in a very rich Penguin tradition. Look, Sid, you're the best. Right. Congratulations on everything. Good luck in Toronto. You always take the time for this show, and I really do appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll see you real soon.
All right, thanks. Sorry about the reception.
You did great. That's no problem. I'll talk soon.
All right.
That's Sidney Crosby. I think he started, fiddling with the battery in the phone. We started talking about the woman in the bikini. Because let me tell you something. There's no way he wasn't thinking when the lady goes, let me put something on. Oh, my God. It was like the Big Lebowski. Well, you can guess what happens now. He fixes the cable. That's Sidney Crosby. We love him. One of my very favorite people to work with. And thanks to him, Jen Delano, Tom McMillan, Jay Seidling, all the great people in the Penguins PR department. And thanks again to Sid, the best hockey player in the world. And he is always very willing to make time for this program. So awesome stuff. We got bikini model Marie Blanchard next hour. Perhaps she could answer the door and Sid could sign her jersey. I'm Mark Madden, 105.9 The X.